Welcome back to Philosophy of the Barber. Today's guest is Andrew Levasseur, owner of the Alton Barbershop in Alton, New Hampshire. He has been a licensed barber for 8 years. Welcome, Andrew.
Welcome, Bree. It's nice to be here.
Long time no see. It's been a little while.
Yeah, it's tough with the COVID this year to see each other and get haircuts.
And family and life and
yep, exactly.
Things get in the way. So Andrew, as I said, owns the Alton Barbershop, and he is not too terribly far from my shop. About half hour?
Yeah, less than 25 minutes, just about 3 towns over. I'm at the southern half of Lake Winnipesaukee, and you're just about right in the middle.
Now, Alton, I would say, is definitely its own unique creature, away from the big old city of Laconia. So how did you decide to be a barber in Alton?
Well, I had just finished barber school, and my local barbershop, Jerry's Barbershop, he was looking for someone to take over for the winters when he went to go be a snowbird. So I came in one September day with my legs shaking, and I was so nervous, and I asked this man who had been barbering at the time for 45 years if he needed someone to work for him. And he said yes in about 2 seconds. And so I started working there for him. I started working in the afternoons. And then over time, I started taking over more shifts at the barbershop, and he started going to Florida longer and longer. And now, after 8 years, I'm a full owner of the Alton Barbershop.
Now, that's a really, I would say, comfortable transition, the amount of time that took and how things like naturally shifted. Did you guys like find any major bumps in the road with like dealing with one another?
Not at all. We are perfectly suited business partners. He is just as laid back as I am, and it's been wonderful to work with him and learn from him. He's got now 57 years of barbering experience, and he was a great mentor and really my best friend. I really learned a lot from him.
It's almost a little on the bittersweet side to see him make the trip down to Florida forever.
Yeah, he's officially retired as of last week. We made the local paper on the front page, which was pretty great. He started barbering in 1964, actually here in Laconia.
Nice.
Yeah, he worked,
back when we had a ton of barbershops.
Yeah, he worked in Laconia for 10 years, and from 1964 to 1974, and then he moved to Alton in 74, 75. Has been there ever since.
I've heard stories of the barbers that have come in and out of Laconia over the decades. I kind of wish I would have been around in the heyday of seeing Carol's Barbershop here.
Oh, Carol's.
The 6-chair shop in the big city.
Oh, gosh.
But all right, so since we're starting off with a little different foot than what we usually do, let's backtrack a little bit and talk about how you decided to join the ranks of the barbers.
I really needed a job, and I really didn't want to go to college. I wasn't very suited for a traditional education. I had tried landscaping. I had tried parks and rec work with the town of Wolfboro. I had tried construction. I had tried gas station attendant. Just about every single manual labor job that you can get without a degree.
It's very New Hampshire native of you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. One of my jobs was a Zamboni driver for the town of Wolfboro. That was fun.
Sadly seasonal.
Sadly very seasonal. And I had come to the point where I was just about 22, and I was working with all these construction workers who were in their late 40s, and they were all so beat up, and their knees were broken, and they were just looked so old and sad. And I was like, I got to get an actual career. And this girl I was hanging out with at the time, she was actually interested in barber school, and me being a young 20-year-old followed suit and went on a tour of New England School of Barbering and fell in love with it. And I said, you know what? Send it. Let's go. School's only 8 months, and it's pretty affordable. So yeah, that's how I became a barber.
And for the audience, Andrew is a graduate of New England School of Barbering, like many of our previous guests, as well as myself. Fairly often we do like to reminisce on the unique experience that we had in barber school, because it is not the typical
Not one bit at all, but it was wonderful. I loved all the students, and I loved the teachers as well.
So, what's like one of your most traumatic? Because we don't cover trauma a lot on this show. But like, what was your most traumatic thing to happen to you in barber school? Because everybody's got one.
Oh man, I was going way beyond my skills at the time, and I was razor cutting this guy's hair, and I put about a golf ball size hole in the back of his head, right down to the scalp. And I just like stand back, and I was like, oh boy, this is going to be bad. I look over at Mr. C, and he comes over, and his eyes just lit up like, oh, what did you just do? And I just stood there like shaking in my boots, and there was no way of fixing it, not at all, unless he wanted like a really high skin fade on this very old man with curly hair. And we talked to him about it, and he said he was totally fine with this gigantic hole in the back of his head. So he left, and I was a little ashamed and a little embarrassed, but I learned from it not to do comb over razor after that for a few months.
Did he end up coming back?
I don't really remember. It was a long time ago.
It was so traumatic that I just blocked it out.
I blocked it out.
I don't remember the man's face.
God,
I don't remember if I was there for that. I remember that story being passed along the school.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember if I was there that day.
And I can totally remember the back of this guy's head and that big golf ball size hole in it. And just, oh my gosh, being 22 and just like, what did I just do?
It's like when the first time you cut somebody's ear, hopefully the only time.
Yeah.
I remember, I cut somebody's ear. I was working at Sergeant's Barbershop in Chichester at the time. My first year in the profession.
I remember the shop well.
And this was an older customer who was on Coumadin.
Oh boy.
Thankfully, though, I don't know how I pulled this off. Like, I just like given him a V snip on the top part of his ear, so it didn't like all the way close, thankfully, or fold. Ugh, heaven forbid. And I was able to like apply pressure quickly enough that it barely bled at all.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, yes, for clotting. Yes. And I was so apologetic. You feel so guilty.
Oh, so guilty.
Especially when you physically hurt someone. Like, I mean, it's one thing if you screw up their haircut and it's like, oh, I feel bad because they screwed up your haircut. But it's like when you harm someone, it's like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have not cut an ear yet in 8 years.
Oh, all right. Well,
proud to say, but I have taken off many skin tags with my straight razor. And usually they're all pretty cool about it. They're like, hey, dude, I just took off that skin tag. They're like, oh, that's been there for 30 years. I've been wanting to take that off, so thank you. They do bleed very, very much, though.
Yes. I've maybe taken off a few of the super tiny ones that you can't even see with a trimmer. But, yeah. The big ones bleed.
Oh, yeah.
It's like taking a mole off.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm yeah.
Good thing we know blood spill procedures.
Oh, gosh.
All right, so you basically went from barber school to working at Jerry's shop. What's the clientele like? Because despite the fact that we're so close together, I feel like we grab from very different spots.
Oh, yeah, we had to run two totally different barbershops. Alton is very blue-collary and very retiree over the age of 60. A lot of rich dudes who have retired in Alton because there's low taxes and there's a lake and it's beautiful, and a lot of small-town contractors and landscapers and people who own their own businesses, and really not much city folk at all. Very country-y, which I like.
And I don't know how many people where they're listening from, but when we say country, we don't mean southern.
No, not at all. New Hampshire has its own little brand of country, that's for sure.
It's more like a backwoods.
Yeah, it's a nice combination of like, got the Lake Winnipesaukee vibes of the tourist, and then you also got like the nice blue-collar dudes who have lived in New Hampshire their whole life, and they just want a nice basic haircut. Nothing fancy. As long as the details are on point, and it's an affordable price, they're happy to keep coming back.
Well, and that's ultimately why anybody seeks out a barber, is like they want a low maintenance haircut that's going to look as good as it can for as long as humanly possible with little to no work on their part.
Yep, exactly.
And if that's what you want to give people, man, become a barber.
Yeah. I mean, most of my clientele wear baseball caps all day, and they're really only worried about their sideburns, their eyebrows, and their back of their neck, and make their wife happy.
And the wings.
That's it. And the wings. Yeah, exactly. And their neck hair.
Oh, let's not forget the eyebrows.
Hey, gotta get the eyebrows.
My wife keeps attacking me with tweezers.
And after 8 years of barbering, I don't even ask for eyebrows. I just do them now. I just take full responsibility of cutting them for everyone in my clientele.
I will still ask because I do have those that are very particular. Yeah. And you know what? I would rather ask and not have to worry about them like jerking away from my trimmer suddenly. Always put my comb up to the eyebrow going, eyebrows?
Do you want one or two done?
Would you like one or two when you walk out?
I love doing the unibrows of teenagers, and they just haven't quite mastered the art of grooming yet. And you're like, you look at them and you're like, buddy, you really need to fix that unibrow. And they're kind of scared and they're kind of embarrassed, but you fix it and they feel better about themselves. And it's always a positive.
Well, because that's something they're looking in the mirror at. They're like, I see it, but I have no idea what to do about it. Like, nobody's had that conversation with me. I don't know any of my friends that have dealt with it. Like, this is not a conversation anybody's had.
And now with COVID and everyone wearing masks, like all these teenagers probably have like these really bad mustaches and no one's doing anything about them.
I will say that when I get somebody, it happened the other day, who hasn't had a haircut in like 3 or 4 months, but they have that ability to grow a wicked sideburn. Yeah. But not like a dark sideburn. It's like the peach fuzz sideburn. Yeah, I will unloop that sucker and be like, so we're going to go to your jawline and clean it all up. Mom's going to be so happy.
Fix everything.
So I want to know, like, what struggles have you gone through? Because, 8 years, you got to go through ups and downs. And, obviously life happens. We learn things. We get bored and all that stuff. But, like, what have you dealt with from the beginning of being a barber to now? Because we've been barbering for 8-9 years.
It's not a
both
long
of
time
us
in the grand scheme of things. Getting the clientele in Alton to accept me as the barber and not the other barber,
especially at 22.
Yeah, especially at 22. The guy I was working with, Jerry, he had been there since 1974, and he had established this rapport with everyone in town.
Well, he was also like a basketball coach, right?
Yeah, he coached basketball for almost 35 seasons. He knew everyone and everything and everyone's grandma and grandson and everything. And I was this new fresh kid in town who didn't know diddly. And getting people to establish a rapport with me and have conversations and tell me these things about town. And I think that was really my biggest hurdle. It probably took me 5 years.
To break through the wall?
To break through the wall of everyone.
Whoa.
Just about 5 years, yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it was. But Jerry was also coming back for the summers, so he would go to he would leave for Florida in December and come back at the beginning of May. So I would work both shifts, his shift in the morning and my shift in the afternoon. And then over the time, Jerry got older and his barbering skills, definitely downgraded a lot, and I finally got all of his clientele because they all accepted like, oh wow, this young kid is a much better barber now. He definitely cannot tell a story like Jerry did, but he does do a better haircut.
Well, and especially when you have that much time invested in somebody, not only do we build rapport, but we basically build I would say 2/3 of a friendship.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We may not, go out and hang out with these people, but we spend an awful lot of time with them on a very regular basis.
Yeah, and I'm very close to your face. I know you very well.
Very intimately.
Yeah, I know your wife's name. I know where your kids go to college. I know your likes and your dislikes, and I know so much about you. I only visit you 30 minutes every month.
Well, and like we make a point to remember those things.
Yeah.
Like we care about those things. If we didn't, we wouldn't like remember them.
I always get complimented on my memory from my clients. Like, how did you remember that my kid went to Dartmouth like 20 years ago? I'm like, I have no idea. It's up there somewhere. I cannot even remember my own phone number, but I can remember that.
Well, I think it's an audio as well as visual connection because like we're seeing these people, we're connecting it to the work that we're doing.
Yep.
Like we've got a physical task that we're doing, looking at your head and your face, and we're talking to you. Like that's 3 ways of being able to remember something.
Yeah. I usually don't remember my clients' names, but I do remember like where they live in town or their jobs or what kind of truck they drive. Like, oh yeah, that guy's red truck Chevy. He's an electrician. That's all I know, but I don't even know his name.
That's Flat Top Mike.
Yeah. There was a client in the shop one day when Jerry was working, and I didn't remember his name. And Jerry had this great rapport with the guy, and the customer left. And I asked Jerry, I'm like, Jerry, do you remember that guy's name? He's like, I've been cutting his hair for 35 years, and I still don't know his name. And I just started laughing so hard because at that point, you can't ask.
No, you can't.
You can't.
Which is why I love the appointment system, is that it is the savior of names until you deal with the person whose wife always makes the appointment. Yep. So it's the wife's name. And you're like, I know your last name.
Yeah, there's so many clients that I call buddy or chief or like champ or like, hey guy, what's up? It's I don't remember your name.
Yeah, I will stick with the only times I need to say names or something as replacement for name is like when I first welcome them into my back room. Yeah. It's like, come on back, my friend.
Yep, friend is also very used in my shop as well.
Kids, I will buddy.
And,
and dude the crap out of, but yeah, adults, I'll always revert back to sir if necessary.
Yeah,
because then it's just like respect.
Yeah, definitely.
So, all right. I feel like what? Have I been to your shop like twice?
Yeah. I've been to your shop like maybe 5 times, so it's fun.
So on the practical end of things, because this is also something I don't think I've asked too many people, how is it dealing, because you guys rent your space, right?
Yep, correct.
So how's it dealing with the changeover of landlords? Because I know you've had that in the past, and I've dealt with that in the past, and also with me moving. Because your shop is such a staple, has that really like helped you when it comes to like negotiating rent or like getting stuff like negotiated for fixing stuff? Because I mean, everybody's leases are different, but how's that been working with different landlords?
So when Jerry first started the shop, there was this owner, and they had a handshake agreement. There was no lease. There was no month-to-month contract. I mean, this was the 70s and 80s. You know, they were just 2 small towns dudes making a business deal. So that went on from just about until probably 2015 when the building got sold. The original owner sold it. And actually the owner of the pizza place that's in my building, he bought the building, and he's been a great landlord, actually. He raised our rent $25. He doesn't bother me. I don't bother him. He respects my space. He respects me. He won't fix anything in my shop, but the amount of rent that I pay, like, I can just fix it myself. I've actually had no problems with my landlord.
Nice. Sounds like you've had a pretty sweet deal there. Just like everybody's so chill.
Yeah, it's really nice. You know, I'm a very laid back person, and I don't want to deal with drama. I don't want to deal with landlord stuff. So just let it slide. You know, it's not worth it. It really isn't.
Now, I do remember over the years when we've talked once in a while, at one point you were kind of getting a little bored with the profession.
Yeah, I was getting bored really with just the barbershop. You know, it's a small town shop, and it's just me in the barbershop, just a 1 chair, and sometimes things get a little boring. But I passed over it, and I feel better about it. Though with COVID has been a new challenge of, you know, I've lost a fair amount of business. A lot of my clientele are older, and they are scared to go out. and they're scared to make appointments. They're still getting haircuts, but their haircut schedule has changed. They're not coming in every 3 weeks to a month. They're coming in every 3 months, and they're getting the shortest haircut they can get. And that's been tough. It's been a lot of slow days and a lot of low numbers. But I'm really glad I have very low overhead, and it's just me in the shop, and I just have to worry about me and not any other employees.
That is, it's a struggle everybody's having, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk with you, is because I can imagine how many people are experiencing, but also could in the future experience that, the reality of when you are a one-chair shop. Like, there are pros and cons.
Oh yeah, it's just me. Like, if I need a day off, or if I need to go get my kid at daycare or anything, like, I've got to close the shop, and I'm not making any money that day. It's tough. But on the other side, like, I don't have to deal with anyone other than myself. I don't have to deal with employees. I don't have to deal with a boss. It's just me. I'm in charge of my own destiny, which I really enjoy.
Well, and even the whole atmosphere, like, I've always come to the shop at least an hour before we open. Like, that's just since it opened, it's worked out that way. So I've always had a need to kind of like lay out my energy for the day, and like establish, all right, this is my space. Like, I know where things are being done. They are the way they're needing to be. As an owner, that's very important to me. And as the type of person I am, that's important, so that I'm comfortable in the place that I work. Whether I'm the owner or not, like, this needs to be a space that I feel comfortable in.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But it's important to take ownership of your space, especially when you're the only one that you're fighting with.
Yeah, it's just me. So working with my business partner, he had established this decor in his barbershop for so long, and it was not my vibe at all. And I have been in his shop with all his decorations and all of his things and trinkets for 8 years now, and the keys just got handed over to me last week. And I've been thinking about redecorating for 8 years now. And I just took the first steps last week of taking down all of his decorations and filling in all the putty holes and taking all the Scotch tape off the walls and really making the space my own. So I'm very excited for that.
Are you going to keep the hunting wall?
Oh, it's all gone.
All gone?
It's all gone.
Whoa!
So my business partner had one whole side of the barbershop was all hunting photos from all of his clientele from the last 40 years. And they were all like Scotch taped together, and they were all layered differently in different varying forms. And it was impressive. It really was. It was
quite the collage.
It was quite the collage of just memories and stories and just great barbershop vibes. There was generations of clientele on this wall. And I'd been looking at it for 8 years, just could not wait to rip it all down. And last week I got the very, very great enjoyment of doing it.
I feel like part of me is just super mean and sadistic. I go, but that would be like your vegan repellent.
Yeah, there was a lot of moms who would come in who had never really been to Alton before. They were summer residents or just traveling through, and they'd walk into the shop and they would see all these hunting photos, and they would just instantly turn their nose up at me, like, where am I? I'm not in a very safe spot. But, you do your best to make people feel comfortable and, try to really your best at great conversation. And at the end of the day, they feel happy, But it definitely did deter a few people.
And you know what? Depending on the type of clientele that you want, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it has everything to do with who you want to see every day.
Yep. You know what? The best piece of advice I got from Jerry was, you are not going to make everyone happy, and do not try to. It's too much of a pain in the butt.
Oh, yeah. It's wasted energy.
Yeah, exactly.
What the great thing is especially when you're done redecorating, is actually feeling confident in who you will be deterring with that.
Yeah, exactly.
And go, I'm okay with that.
This is my style and my energy. And if you don't like it, well, you can go find another barbershop. That's fine with me.
Have you ever like seen any of our negative reviews for the shop?
Once in a great while, I will look at negative reviews for other barbershops.
So I tend to reply to the negative reviews. Have you ever seen any of my replies?
I have not.
All right. So typically, somewhere within the reply, because I try to be as very tactful as possible. He rolls his eyes. I will at some point in there, always thank them for their feedback and hope that they find their ideal barbershop experience. Because, like, whether or not you enjoyed my experience or whether or not the negative review was legitimate, I still want people to find their ideal barbershop because I'm not going to be everybody's ideal. Yeah. And I don't want to be everybody's ideal. That is way too much pressure. Thank you. But I still want them to find it.
Yeah.
And hey, if you've already found it, why are you coming to me?
Yeah. Keep going to your same guy you've been going to for 30 years. It works.
Like, if you're, quote, in a pinch, you could probably wait.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, like, why are you leaving your original guy,
Yeah. I was looking at one of our old negative reviews, and they were talking about they went to a shop that's not far from here, like one town over. And I was like, well, why did you come here? I'm glad you found them, and please, by all means, I hope you continue to enjoy your time with them.
I had a client yesterday. I hadn't seen him for about a month and a half, and he's been a great client for about 3 years now. And as soon as he walked in the door, he's like, Andrew, I'm sorry I cheated on you. And I just instantly just smiled and laughed. I'm like, dude, it's okay. And he told me the whole story about getting a terrible haircut in Algonquin, Maine. And it was just a riot. And, at the end of the haircut, he's like, man, I'm sorry I cheated on you. I should have came back. He's like, no, man, it's okay. It was totally worth the story.
Well, I love it. Man, I have so many customers that during lockdown especially, that was like one of the things I was looking forward to when we opened back up was seeing what people did.
Oh my God, their haircuts were great. They really were great.
Well, and it's like you got one of two camps. You have the camp that just let it grow.
Yeah, it was good.
Which, hey, you know what? Your choice. Like, I don't fault anybody for doing whatever makes them feel better, especially during this year. Like, did you feel better afterwards? All right, then that's all that matters.
That's great.
Because it grows back and we can fix anything. And then the other camp of they did something, but we had 2 months. So it was the end of month 1 when they did it. And then they had another month to have it grow back. So it was fun, like, combing through things going, okay.
Yep, you cut your temples, but you left the back real long,
Yep.
and then you cut your bangs, like.
Or you get the Forrest Gump bowl.
Yeah, oh yeah, or just like the straight buzz cut. That happened a lot.
A lot of those.
A lot of buzz cuts.
Lot of those.
I gave myself a buzz cut, during
Same,
lockdown.
but I was also rocking a buzz cut during the winter,
Yeah.
so kind of worked out.
Yeah, there was a fair amount of haircuts. A lot of my older clientele just didn't cut their hair.
Yeah.
And they a lot of them said, like, I haven't had this long hair since the 70s.
And some of them kept it, and they were like,
Yeah,
you kind of like
exactly.
it longer.
Yeah, I had a lot of guys who are like, dude, my wife likes my longer hair, so let's keep it long. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
We'll just clean it up and make it look like a haircut now.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's one of the cool things about this year. Silver lining here is that people are a lot more willing to try new things
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
because they don't have much of a choice.
Yeah. Also, there's been so many hairy ears. And
Oh,
so many large eyebrows this year and nose hairs. Oh my gosh. Just the amount of ear hair I've cleaned out this year is just too much. Too much. Well, guys didn't get haircuts for 3 months, and they don't have ear trimmers, and they ain't cutting it with scissors at home. Oh, it was bad.
I feel like we need emergency kits to give wives. Because they're the ones that suffer.
Oh,
The guys don't know any better.
No, they don't care.
So, I mean, you've got such a, I don't want to say Mayberry. It's not quite that.
It's pretty close. It's pretty
Well,
close.
Mayberry-esque
Yeah.
situation in Alton. Do you just see yourself rocking the one chair status until you decide to find a young buck to pass it on to the way Jerry did?
Yeah, I think I want to keep barbering until my daughter is past high school. She just turned 4 this week.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Time does fly. So I think I'm going to keep rocking the single chair shop for a while. I hopefully will make it over this COVID mess, and my shop will be back to normal, walk-in only. And I'm going to keep barbering till at least another 15 years.
Oh, is that it? All right.
Yeah, another 15, you know?
What if she goes to college?
Yeah, she goes to college, and then I think I might reassess my life. But yeah, I really do like the single chair shop, but there's definitely pros and cons to it, like we talked about earlier.
Well, speaking of one of the cons, obviously the whole, like, it's kind of hard to get out and see your fellow barbers.
Getting
in
haircuts.
various capacities.
Yeah.
Getting a haircut.
As a barber is
as
very
this,
tough.
The one barber in town is like, how do I do this?
So actually, I got a haircut this week from my fellow barber, Chad. He's down in Farmington, New Hampshire. He runs Blue Collar Barbers. I had a kid-free evening on Tuesday, so I called him up, and I was like, hey, man, I need a haircut. And he's like, oh, I do too. Let's trade haircuts. So I went down to his shop in Farmington and cut his hair, and we bullshitted and drank beers for about an hour, and he cut my hair, and it was a great trade.
No offense, but I feel like you got the easier end of the deal.
Oh, for sure. He's got a very easy haircut, and mine's a little tougher.
Andrew's well endowed when in the hair department.
And Chad is not.
No.
Sorry, Chad. But you know what? Say Chad has a great beard.
Yes, he does. Whatever he lacks up top, he makes up for on the chin. So, in that same vein, like how difficult do you find it, like finding further education, like ways to diversify your skills? I know there's not a ton of like diversity when it comes to your clientele and what they're necessarily asking for, but I imagine once in a while you'll have somebody pop in and go, "Give me a sick mullet."
You know what? I've got a guy who comes in on Thursday afternoons about once a month who has a wonderful mullet.
See?
And I really enjoy doing it because I don't get to do it that often.
Right?
Yeah. It took me a few times to really get the knack down because I just don't do it very often. Watched a few YouTube videos, got a few inspirations, and we figured it out, and he really enjoys it.
Nice.
But
yeah.
definitely, YouTube has definitely been good for, I guess, a little more popular haircuts these days, and haircuts for people under the age of 30.
Because they are still a thing.
Oh yeah.
Because that's one thing. I mean, here at Polished and Proper, we have the virtue of having a staff that we can stagger on days, but having access to continuing education it's always been a difficult thing in the barbering area of New Hampshire. Because everything is like, if it's not in Massachusetts, then it's not in New England.
Yeah, not at all. And we only have one barber school here in New Hampshire, so.
Well, now technically, we have two. We have Barber School, the New England School of Barbering, and then we have Empire Beauty School, which has a barber program, which is flourishing.
It's good.
I follow quite a few of their current students on Instagram. And we have to give them their due credit for adding to the 3,000 barbers we have in the state now.
3,000. That's impressive.
Compared to the 1,000 we had.
Yeah, when we started. Yeah. Oh man.
With that being said, we have had a major resurgence in the last decade. Do you see more shops going to be popping up in the next 5 to 10 years? Because I mean, there's only so many chairs in the shops we got right now.
Yeah. Luckily for me, Alton has no real estate available on Main Street. There is, I think, 7 hair salons in the town of Alton.
Wow.
7. And I am the only actual barber shop. There's a newer gal who just opened up down the street. She does men and women's hairs. And you know what? I give her credit. She took some of my clientele during this COVID thing, but it's totally understandable. I don't see many shops opening up in Alton just because of those factors. And I've also, we've established this shop. It's been there since 1974, and people know about it. And they're going to tell their kids, and they're going to tell their grandparents, and word of mouth spreads pretty fast in a small town.
I really kind of hope, though, that people start to migrate a little further north, because those towns need a barber in town.
Definitely.
Because, I mean, I'm sure you get people from Wolfboro and Moultonboro because they're just around the lake.
Yeah, so I pull from Wolfboro, New Durham, Gilmington, Barnstead, sometimes Moultonboro, sometimes Guilford. So, and there's really not too many barbershops in my area. And being in New Hampshire, everything is 45 minutes away. Everything.
Everything. Because there's lakes in the way.
Yeah.
You have to go around bodies of water. But yeah, and the same with us, where our clientele, like we draw from several counties. Like we'll get people from Bristol to Wolfboro to, I used to draw from Raymond. Wow. Thankfully, they've moved a little bit closer.
That's
now
good.
they're in Chichester. But even Chichester's like not that far down the road from you.
No, not at all.
I'm looking forward to like having more. I want more barbershops in places, and like it's more like cities.
Yeah.
New Hampshire is like 11 cities, right?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Right. For those of you outside of New England, New Hampshire has exactly 11 cities. Everything else is a town.
Mm-hmm.
Like Laconia is the only city in Belknap County.
Yeah, correct.
So like a town can easily support 1, maybe 2 barbers.
Yeah, we've got Alton has a population of like 5,500. But in the summertime, we triple or quadruple our population.
Same, yeah. Laconia has like 16,000 because we're the bustling metropolis. But yeah, it can triple easily in the summer, which is like opposite of Florida. And I don't understand this. Why don't we have barbers that work here in the summer and then go work in Florida in the winter? Because they're busy in the winter in Florida.
I would love to do that as like an older barber if I ever get the chance to. Just be a snowbird barber.
Yes, because then you'd keep your clientele.
Yeah, exactly. They're all moving down south anyways.
They would be so excited, except for the fact that they would have to like live in the same community down there.
Yeah.
They're going to have to create like an Alton co-op and be like,
gosh.
all right, so everybody just buy outside of Clearwater. What about Tampa? How does everybody feel about Tampa?
Oh, man. Just go work in an over 55 community. You'd break it in. You really would.
Down there, they're cities amongst themselves.
Oh, yeah.
They have supermarkets in those little communities. Everybody just lives on golf carts.
That'd be great. Have a mobile golf cart barbershop. Sweet.
Oh, I don't even know what I would do living in a state that allowed mobile barbers. I don't think I could take it. Because I see so many cool things on Instagram. Do you see the things that are like the retrofitted vans?
Yeah, they're traveling around doing haircuts. They are neat. Oh, man.
Other states.
Other states. Oh, New England. We're just so... I don't even know what the word is.
Quaint?
Quaint, old-timey, stuck in our ways, salty.
It's got pros and cons, right?
It's got pros and cons.
We like our state debates on whether or not we should like have licenses for things.
Yeah, exactly.
It's do we want to be free?
That happened when we were in barber school. Do you remember?
It's happened like 4 times since we were in barber school.
Gosh. Yeah, we had a libertarian state rep who was proposing to get rid of the barber license in the state. And the owner of the barber school, Mr. C, he invited him to the barber school to give him it was like a demonstration on what barbers do and why we need licensing and why we need education. The bill didn't go through, so...
What I remember, because I remember we took a field trip to the state school to talk to the committee and to testify to them as to why it's stupid to do away with regulation of our profession specifically. Even the president of Barbicide was there.
Oh, yeah.
Which was like, okay. And I remember Mr. C went up to testify, and a bunch of other people did too. And it was like, you need to understand that what we do has way more to do with safety of the public than it does with cutting hair.
Oh, yeah.
Like, let me talk to you about blood spill procedures and microbiology and, like, properties and disorders of the skin and hair. Like, it was a lot. But I remember specifically, there was a graduate of New England School of Barbering who was a state rep. I think he was a state rep in Lee.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. But he was a licensed barber from NESOB. And there was like this agreement that went around the State House because the libertarian guy had like a crazy curly fro and a burly beard.
Seth Cohen. That was his name.
Yeah.
Seth Cohen. Yep.
So that agreement was made because they were on different ends of the political spectrum, that if the bill passed, Seth would get his hair cut by an unlicensed person. But if it failed, he would get his hair cut by a licensed barber. But the caveat was that it had to be Lee.
Oh, gosh, that's awesome.
And Lee was older at that point. Like, he wasn't actively barbering. He was spending all of his time at, doing state rep stuff. But so the bill failed, and they came to New England School of Barbering, and Seth came, and Lee did like the promotional like little snip here, for the photo op. But Mr. C got to have like a ton of fun, and like
I remember that haircut.
He brought over like hedge clippers and like just all these power tools that he has. It was like like an unlicensed person cut your hair with anything, right?
Yep.
And he did half of his face.
Do you remember that?
Like the whole one half of his head, the beard, the hair, everything done completely, and the other half was totally just him the way he was. And it was a fantastic photo op.
Yeah, that was really good. That was a good memory from barber school.
I'd almost forgotten about that.
Yeah, me too.
I find that when very passionate barbers are in their element, very fun things can happen.
Oh, for sure. Great conversations, great energy, great laughs too.
Absurdity.
As you can tell by our laughter for the last half an hour.
Oh, yeah. So for some backstory for the listeners, we are currently sitting in my recording area, the basement of the shop, after a very, very, very long Thursday of work.
Agreed.
On both of our ends.
Yep.
We've had a day. It is 2020,
yep.
And we've had a day. And this is just before the election, because this will not air until after the election.
Man, it's been heated.
So just understanding what you're listening to in the point in time. Boy, and every customer I've had in my chair recently, like this week, has brought up something.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And it's not even like a partisan thing. They're just bringing up like, can we be done?
Yeah, can we be, yeah, that is the biggest comment I get is, can we be done with this? I'd be so glad when this is over. A funny thing about politics and being a barber is you really have to stay in the middle as a barber. You have to be the devil's advocate. You really can't promote your opinion because you're going to lose business. You really have to accept everyone and their opinions. And a lot of my older clientele think I'm a Republican, and a lot of my younger clientele think I'm a Democrat. And I have never told them my opinions at all. They just come to assume this, and I think that's just hilarious.
I feel like that's me and like my persuasion.
Yeah.
People just assume. I have found great comfort in my ability to have a conversation of merit with people on political subjects without anybody leaving angry. Like that's always my goal is, offering alternative perspective so that whoever I'm talking to understands something other than their perspective.
I totally agreed. I pride myself on having a respectful conversation about politics in the barbershop. And it's actually been kind of nice being appointment only now, and there's only one person in the shop. I've had deeper conversations with my clients, and I have had more time to actually get into the nitty gritty about what they feel and what they think about things. And I've been definitely saying more of my views during one-on-one haircuts than it was before when it was just walk-in only.
Now you know why I have my own room.
Exactly.
It's just way more meaningful conversation because you don't have to worry about whether or not somebody who's hearing your conversation is going to be upset over it.
Yep, exactly.
It's really therapeutic.
Yeah, but you know what? I miss that walk-in only. I really do.
I do, like some of my customers or some of my barbers do miss the walk-ins.
I really just miss the social aspect of it. I miss, I have a small shop and there's 6 waiting chairs, and some days they'd be all full, and there'd be guys ranging from 20 years old to 80 years old, and they're all talking and sharing stories and interacting with each other and sharing their experiences, and I loved listening to that. And now it's gone, and I miss it every day.
But it is definitely that nice change. Like, it's not necessarily something you would permanently want to convert to.
Definitely.
But having a change of pace to kind of cultivate your relationships in a different way with your clientele is, I think, a great opportunity to make a more well-rounded, more firm connection. That, like, the ones who stay with you through this are the ones that stay with you until they're dead.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, whoever dies first, you or them. Yeah. And, I mean, that's great.
Yeah, it is great. Yeah, I've definitely bonded with a lot of my clientele pretty well this year with the COVID haircuts. And a lot of them came to see me when it was lockdown as well. And I'm very thankful for that.
I'm very thankful for people that bought gift cards during lockdown.
Yeah. I tried the gift card thing in Alton, but no one really knows how to use the computer in Alton. So a lot of folks just like dropped envelopes off at the barbershop with cash. So that was pretty nice.
See, I feel like you operate in a different time just because of the dynamic of your town.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Like, we have to be a little more, I mean, 5 barbers, a lot of clientele, like, and coordination. So it's just a different animal.
Yeah, totally, for sure.
But it works so well for you there that don't mess with something that ain't broken.
Yeah, it's been working since 1974. I'm going to keep on running it as best as I can.
Consistency. That's all that matters. Yeah. I will say that I think one of the perks of being a barber right now, in 2020 specifically, is that we've had the opportunity to reassure a lot of people.
Yeah, that everything's going to be okay.
Well, and that, like, even when you, like, don't believe what you see. Because, I mean, this is me, like Dave Karen, like, comparing the world to barbering, all right? We're about to get deep philosophy.
Let's hear it.
All right. So our job as barbers is to make you look a certain way, right?
Yeah.
Well, if anybody knows it, like, it's not about everything being the same length. It's about it looking the same length. So in essence, we are illusionists.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, we are trying to make your round head look oval. We are, trying to make something look like it's supposed to be one way, even though it's not really. Like, that's our job. We are temporary magicians. We just don't have magic wands or clippers. Yeah. And we work within the realm of physics. So our whole job is perception. Well, that's kind of like, because we understand this concept, we can apply it to the world today and go, look, we of all people know and understand that you cannot believe what your eyes are telling you.
Yeah, not at all.
Like, just because you are seeing the doomsday flashy panic thing of, like, fight or flight, that's not necessarily reality.
Yep. And
here especially, going, like, you can't believe what you see on whatever box you're looking at.
Yep.
It's the believe what's happening in your town.
Yep. And
to your neighbors.
Still in business.
Yeah. And, you see a lot of hate and anger and destruction. You go, yeah, but look at us. Like, we don't have to agree on things.
Yeah.
That's okay.
If I can still cut your hair.
Well, and I'll still like you as a person.
Oh, for sure.
Just because I disagree with how you do your job doesn't mean that you're a horrible guy.
Yep, exactly.
So I think that offers great reassurance, going, look, all right, you know what? Don't get all crazy. Pull it back.
Yeah.
Bring it back to, like, where you are now. And go, all right, I like my neighbors. We don't agree on where the fence should be, but we'll still go to church on Sunday.
Yep.
Like, I'm not going to feud with him over something stupid or, temporary.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I like those things. It's like, let's pause for a second before we get all crazy.
It's nice being that stable thing in people's lives, getting a haircut, because lockdown happened and everyone's life just got thrown into a blender and none of the normal things that we did happened anymore. And then when barbershops opened back up again, people were so thankful to get just a little slice of normalcy.
And I think in addition to that, because that's for sure a major factor, but there is a major difference. Because, we all have those clients that we see once a quarter.
Yep.
There's a major difference between going 2 months without a haircut and having to go 2 months without a haircut.
Exactly.
There you go. If you do it because you just lost track of time, it's fine. But if somebody is constantly reminding you that you are not allowed to do it,
yep,
you really, 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 really want to do it. I feel the same way about chocolate. Like, as soon as I tell myself I can't have chocolate anymore, I'm like, no, I really, really, really want chocolate.
Yep. I really want that pizza from next door. Well, I'm going to get it.
I think that is an oddly American problem. We really don't like being told we can't do or have things.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Especially here. Like, the live free or die state, like, we may have a crappy flag. We may not really care so much about, like, what color we are as a state. We don't take great pride in a lot of things. But that live free or die, we take great pride in and are like, don't mess with our state.
Yeah.
You came here for a reason.
Mm-hmm. You came here for cheap taxes and pretty views.
You want to live the way you want to? Go for it, but don't make anybody else do it.
Yeah, exactly. I had this theory of why we had such low COVID numbers this year is because us New Englanders are so salty. And the COVID didn't affect us because we just had such an angry demeanor.
Well, that wall that we spoke of earlier, 5 years, that is a thick wall.
Yeah.
I find that the average New Englander has about a year-long wall. That's your probationary period as an outsider.
Yep.
As somebody who moved here about 10 years ago. Took about a year. Not horrible, but enough to be like, all right, well, like, they're not going to be super friendly to just anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to make sure that you can stand at least one winter.
Yeah.
If you're here after one winter, you're good.
I'm going to be surprised with all of these folks moving to New Hampshire from Massachusetts, especially up to northern New Hampshire, and they have never experienced a New Hampshire winter before, and they are not stocked up on firewood or their snow shovels or gloves. It's going to be an interesting winter.
Silver lining. Ding, ding. I'm hoping that our customers' numbers won't be as low as previous winters, though.
Yeah.
Because we have more people that are living here, technically.
Mm-hmm.
Though, how have you found with your snowbirds? Like, are they either leaving super early or deciding not to leave until, like, after the holidays?
It's kind of a mixed bag. Some of them are staying. It's like their first winter in like 30 years that they have not gone to Florida. Some of them are staying with family members in New England. Some of them are going to a different state because Florida has such high COVID numbers. It's really a mixed bag. A lot of folks didn't even come home. They just stayed in Florida all year.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I've lost some snowbirds that have decided to permanently resident in Florida, which I don't blame them because our housing market here in New Hampshire
is just trash.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
If you have something to sell it.
Right now.
Now's the time. But man, if you want to buy something, wait.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't blame them for that because good money.
Yep.
You can literally sell your house in a weekend.
Yep. Yeah, my business partner just listed his house today, and I'm guessing it's going to be gone by Monday.
I'd wager Sunday.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like one open house and done.
Done. Yep.
And then I have had some that didn't come back, but I've also It's weird. We usually have a lot more Massachusetts people that have summer homes up here that like we see on a regular basis
Yep.
during the summer that we didn't end up seeing,
It's also the same thing in Alton as well.
which is odd considering the amount of population that we had up here and the amount of Massachusetts license plates that we saw.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't get the summer clientele that I usually get. I usually get about a 25% jump in business, and it was like 15. I think people were just staying in their houses. You know, they were cutting their own hair, or they weren't getting haircuts, or they were just still afraid to go out.
Yeah, it's possible. Not out on the boat though. They were out on the boat.
They were out on boats every day. Every day.
I'm curious, what do you think will happen for winter? Because obviously our wonderful lake freezing over and dealing with, well, hockey rinks didn't do so well in the last few weeks. So how do we think pond hockey and ice fishing is going to do?
I think ice fishing is going to be pretty good. I mean, the boating season was excellent. The camping season was excellent. Ice fishing is great because you can be out with your buddies and you can be out with your own little pod.
And nobody's going to complain about you wearing a mask in the winter
No,
time.
not at all. I think ice fishing is going to be good. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the ski areas locally.
They still haven't figured out.
They still haven't figured it out, no. You know, unfortunately, New Hampshire's numbers are rising right now. And honestly...
It's kind of hard to go anywhere but up when you're at zero.
Yeah, exactly. New Hampshire's been so fortunate with COVID numbers. But, you know, as a small business owner, I'm afraid of getting shut down again. I really am. Like every day.
Yeah.
Every single day, I'm waiting for that news article to come out that say barbershops have closed and I am out of income.
So I will say that on a personal level, and I have informed my barbers of this, I have already made the decision based on that possibility that I will be more than happy to tell the state of New Hampshire to shove it if they ever tell us to close again.
Yeah.
Like, I will pull out that banner of Live Free or Die and go, hey, you know that guy in Michigan? Yeah, I stand with that guy.
Yep, exactly.
Because no more.
Yeah.
With the amount of support and relief that we got because of our unique situation, I feel like self-employed people are the one set that was not covered properly in any sort of relief package.
Yep, I didn't get much. It hurt. It hurt really bad. And it made me question being a barber. It really did. You know, I was looking into other job opportunities because I didn't have any income for 3 months.
Yeah, and I was only very fortunate, number one, because of my experience with dealing with government paperwork. So I felt a lot more comfortable filling out forms that I didn't necessarily ever see before, understanding what they were asking for. And though the rest of my barbers had equal opportunity and right to fill out those same applications, and I sent them links to do so, their comfort level not at the same level. And at the time, we were all locking down. We weren't going to be around each other, so I couldn't really help them. But also, I was fortunate to, my father was like in a financial position at that time, I'd say for the first time in my life, to be able to help financially. And that was like the first time in my life I've ever asked my parents to help me since moving out of their house at 18. Yeah. Like, I'm an absurdly independent individual, and that took some humbling.
Yep. I can say the same. I am so thankful for my family and my parents. If it wasn't for them, I would have not have made this. I would not be a barber right now if it wasn't for their support. So very thankful for that. And you know, this whole experience has made me realize that family and friends is all we got, and you should rely on the family you have and be thankful for that. God, I'm like getting emotional over here, and it's really hit home this year of how important family is.
Well, the things we learned and realized in March and April, I feel like some people, it's like decades ago for them in their mind now.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you not remember how much worse you felt, like psychologically speaking.
Oh, yeah.
Lockdown, way worse on everybody's mind because there was so much uncertainty, so much we did not know, and so much fear and isolation that, like, as bad as things are right now,
It was pretty bad.
I'm still okay right now
Yeah.
compared to then. I mean, I reacted to things in lockdown a little bit differently than the average person, but that's because I'm weird. That's my own genetic makeup. But still, like, I mean, I had to go into problem solver mode. Like, man, if I got to turn into a robot, that was the time I got to turn into a robot. I got 10 things to do, gonna get them all done. And nobody has to be nice about it. But
I was very thankful for having my daughter during lockdown. I saw her every single day other than Thursdays.
that's awesome.
And, you know, it was frustrating, and it was, as a parent, everyone knows, it's frustrating and a pain in the butt. And you just, at the end of the day, you're just so exhausted. But when I went back to work that first day on Tuesday, I realized, I'm like, oh my God, I will never have 3 months with my daughter every single day. And I was so thankful for that. And we have such a great bond now because of what happened.
Oh, and especially like 3 into 4.
Oh yeah, it was big doings.
That's formative years, man. Formative.
Yeah. She just had a birthday on Tuesday, and I never thought I'd be the dad who got my daughter a Barbie dream house, but I bought her a Barbie dream house, and I set it up at like midnight last week, and she was so friggin' happy when she woke up that morning. It was awesome.
Yay!
It was awesome.
Come on, you knew when you had a daughter you would be screwed.
God, it's so good though.
I'm waiting for you guys to play dress up together and see pictures on social media.
Oh, for sure.
Glitter in the beard.
Oh, I'm fine with glitter in the beard. Sounds like a good time.
Yeah. Just make sure it's not like gel glitter.
Oh gosh.
You'll never get it out. Well, has your daughter like seen you work?
Yeah. So last year she hung out in the shop, I don't know, once or twice a week. She'd hang out for an hour or so if someone had to do an appointment or if someone was babysitter and needed something to do. So yeah, she would sit and like watch movies, and she knows I cut hair. She knows what I do. She's still a little confused because, you know, she's 4.
She has a right to be.
Yeah, but she knows I'm a barber, and she knows I cut hair and I talk to people, and yeah, she's a good kid.
You ever try to do it yet?
She has not tried to cut hair yet.
Oh, good.
Nor if I cut her hair. It is almost down to her lower back, and it is got a nice curl to it, a nice wave to it, and it's just beautiful. It's finally long enough where all of her bangs go back into a ponytail, which I'm very thankful for.
Have you learned to braid yet?
I have not learned to braid, but I'm very good at a ponytail. Getting there.
Something everybody can do.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
That's why I don't have long hair anymore.
Yeah, as a man with very short hair for all of my life, I'm getting used to it. I now have hair ties in every single part of my life, in all of my pockets, in my car, in my room. They're everywhere.
Smart. Feel the same way about sunglasses and masks now. If there's a crevice, put a mask, put a hair tie, and put sunglasses. Mm-hmm. Somebody's going to need it.
And snacks.
As long as they're non-perishable.
Oh, man.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm so glad to hear that you guys have gone through the year like pretty well, considering.
Yeah, it's been a ride. It's definitely been a ride.
How are you thinking the holiday season's going to go?
Honestly, can't say. I don't know.
Give me a couple weeks and we'll find out.
Yeah, give me till next week. We'll find out what happens. It's like the last episode of Lost. What's gonna happen next week? Honestly, this whole ride has been just a terrible reality show.
Here's the reality for it, though. Next week has nothing to do with it because you're not gonna get an answer.
No, yeah, not at all.
You're not gonna get it until like end of December, probably.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the ultimate like lie people tell themselves. It's kind of like, that warm front that we get in February.
Oh yeah, it's so nice. You like finally take off your jacket and wear a t-shirt in
second to third
the
week,
40s.
and everybody's like, "Oh, spring, coming early this year. And we're like, no, it's not.
It's negative 30 the next week.
Never comes early. It never comes in February. Spring is at the end of May in New Hampshire.
Yep, just about right.
And that little like warm spell in February, that's Mother Nature. That's Mother Nature going, I know the hell I'm putting you through, so I'm going to give you a little breather right now. And then we're going to dive into winter part 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the election is. And that whole like lying to yourself about November 3rd, like, all right, well, after that,
things have changed.
Things will change.
Yep.
And we'll know one way or another, good or bad. There you go. No. Mm-mm. This is uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
Part 2.
All of 2020.
You want to know what's going to happen? You just have to decide. And that's what's going to happen. So that's what I've decided. So I don't have to worry about an election other than the fact that I have to work at the polls. Because I'm a poll volunteer. And I have to tell you, because it's past me, so smart. Past me in February when I was working in the primary. I went on my schedule because I always do appointments, pandemic or not. And I went and blocked off a half a day on Wednesday, November 4th. And then I forgot about it.
Oh, nice.
And then I went back and was looking at my schedule coming up, and I was like, why do I have a half day? And I'm like, couldn't think for the life of me. I was like, did I talk to somebody that was like doing a thing and then block it off? And then COVID happened and I totally forgot and probably ain't happening anyway. And I was like, what was it about? I didn't specify. And I was like, oh, wait, it's the day of the election. Maybe past me was smart and thought it's going to be a late night.
Yep, definitely.
And I want to sleep in. So go past me. I'm so happy. Just kept it. Wednesdays are slow day anyway. It's not going to affect anything.
Yeah. Oh, man.
What is your slow day?
Wednesdays.
Okay. I'm glad.
Wednesdays.
Somebody who's like, you're open, what?
I'm open Tuesday through Friday.
Okay. Yeah. Traditional, typical barber hours. Yep. I'm glad that is not like a weird, like if you're open 6 days a week, you're going to have a weird lull in the middle.
Yeah. I've had all kinds of hours in the last 8 years. I was open. I was working like 12-hour days when I first started barbering.
Yeah, that was a little much.
Yeah, a little much. But you know what? I learned a lot of great things, and I made a lot of great money, and I was very happy I did it. And, got married and changed my hours from then, and then got divorced, changed my hours again, and then took a lot of custody of my child, changed my hours again. And now my only late night past 5 o'clock is on Thursdays, and I have no child on Thursdays, so I can show up at the shop at 6 o'clock and I can work till 9 o'clock. And so Thursdays are usually my good day, where I can bust out as many haircuts as I want to, without having to like drop everything and go pick up my kid or deal with some sort of situation that has happened.
Well, that's great for especially right now with appointments going.
Yeah.
When you went in? Thursday?
Yep, Thursday.
Let me squeeze you in.
Yep, perfect. I'm there all day.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm so glad that you had an opportunity to come up and see me, because obviously this is a Thursday night.
It's great.
And you're free. Well, if you ever need anything, you can always come here.
I'm very thankful for the gloves that you gave me at the beginning of
Did
COVID.
They fit?
They did fit. They did.
Okay. That's been a common problem here. I have some barbers that have cat paws.
Oh, yeah.
The fingers, fine. The paws that are like massive.
I've actually got to order more gloves coming up soon. The price of gloves have doubled.
Really?
Yeah. Or I was getting them, they doubled. So.
I was like, where are you getting? I mean, I still can't get Barbicide wipes to save my life.
Oh, yeah. The glove company that I was using has been back ordered since May. Yep.
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa.
Well, if you need a filler box, I got extras.
Good.
that is one of those things. Like, we're good with like clipper spray.
Yep, I got so much clipper spray.
Oh, and Sally's is like, we've got all kinds.
Yeah.
We've got Clippercide. We've got 5-in-1.
The red. We've got the orange. We've got all of them. What smell do you want?
Tyler is very particular. He's a clipper side man.
Yeah.
I'll just go with a 5-in-1 on him.
Yeah,
fine.
5-in-1 is great for me. Although, have you noticed when I spray my 5-in-1 and wearing my mask, I get a different smell in my mask? I feel like it like attaches to my mask and I smell it a little longer. I'm not sure.
Say it is more potent.
Yeah.
Not a different smell, but it is definitely there.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the mask does to the 5-in-1, but it's a little different.
Yeah, it's definitely like more noticeable.
Yeah.
I still try and like do the whole like, below, spray as little as possible directly on what you're disinfecting, and that's it.
So yesterday, one of the community Facebook groups, someone was giving away 5 packages of bright pink disposable masks, and I snagged all of them just in case one of my old man clients needs a mask. And I said, "Well, sir, I've got this bright pink one, and that's all I've got, and you've got to wear it."
I love it. Things we do to entertain ourselves.
Oh, for sure.
I will say, comes to masks, especially with the stuff we have to go through, my barber Gina, she has gotten very creative when it comes to finding masks that she really enjoys wearing.
Yep.
And the majority of hers are disposable, which means like if she has a kid in her chair, she gets a lot of them. Cause she gets Star Wars ones.
Oh, awesome! Yeah.
She got ones with pineapples on them and like cool stuff. And her face is literally small enough to fit on a kid's mask.
Yeah.
So it's perfect. But so she's been really into that. Yay for Star Wars, because she had converted to Star Wars during lockdown. If it wasn't for lockdown, she probably never would have had time to dive into that. And now she's just all about it.
There's been a local lady in New Durham, the town next to me, and she's been making all of my masks for me. And
really?
She has great patterns, and I've got all these cool space ones and all these cool plaid ones and paisley stuff, and they've been really awesome.
Oh, and I'm just that corporate junkie that's like, Disney made masks! They can match my sweatshirt.
So now my beard is long enough where it hangs out below my mask. So it adds this whole nother dimension to my face. I got the mask and I got the hair, and then I got this beard that just dangles down like 2 inches below it.
Have you had with customers them like specifying for their beard trims that you make it so they don't have mask face?
I've not done beard trims. I've stopped doing it. I didn't feel comfortable. I've got a young child and I've got old parents who I see every day. I've stopped doing beard trims.
Understandable.
Yep.
We have one barber, like, he'll do a beard trim, but he won't do like prolonged services like shaves and stuff, even though we're allowed to do them. And that's everybody's choice. It's all about preference and how comfortable you are. But that is something for beard trims that I do, is like, can you make it like full, but can you make it so that I don't get that line with the mask?
My beard gets just straight matted, and it's all like tangly and gross, and I always have to brush it after I take my mask off.
It's one of those things. It's like so unintended for consequences for things, but it's like, we have to adapt.
That and my mustache. I have to keep my mustache short because my mask, it sits on my mustache and it just tickles, and it makes the smell worse. And oh my God, it's terrible.
Oh yeah, Tyler was like bugging earlier. His mustache was bugging him in the mask. And he wears the disposable ones too, so they got the fuzzies on the inside that your facial hair will just like attach to like Velcro, and then it just like slowly shimmies the more you talk. One of these days I'm going to write a pamphlet about things you need to know about growing a beard.
Yeah.
You will eat it.
Oh,
you will wake up and you will be eating it.
Oh, yeah.
You will floss with it accidentally.
It will be wet when you wake up.
And you will never know why.
Oh, God. Yeah, it will get caught in your zipper or your buttons at a certain point, and it's going to hurt. Especially now we're getting into fall and it's cold. You have to be careful. You got to put your chin up to zip up, because it's going to get it.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to get it.
I feel like that's just as bad as like catching anything else in a zipper.
Yeah, if you had like longer hair as a woman, or as a man with long hair too. Oh gosh, I took out a pig dreadlock last week.
Oh yeah.
No,
you
this
sent
week.
Me that picture.
This week.
Tell the story.
This man came in and he had like a longer ponytail, and a baseball cap. And he had just gotten out of the hospital. He had been there for almost 3 months. He got hit by a car on his bicycle. And he had this very large dreadlock that had happened to him during his hospital visit. And I guess none of the nurses or none of the doctors took care of his dreadlock. So he had longer hair, probably down to his mid-back. And he came in. He was like, what can we do about this? And I hemmed and hawed. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I really just want to cut it off. Just to be satisfying.
But it was like the size of...
Yeah, it was like an old school pager. Like, it was...
There you go.
Yeah, it was...
I hope you guys know what a pager looks like.
So I combed out the rest of his hair. It was matted and it was pretty bad. Combed it all out, made everything even, and then went to work on this dreadlock. And I was splitting it apart with my shears and trying to comb it out, and I ended up taking most of the dreadlock out, saving it. But his long hair was long enough where if you put it back in a ponytail, you couldn't even notice that he had been missing a whole bunch of hair. But he was so happy, and he said his sleeping was going to be great because he wasn't going to have to lay on it. I charged him $10, and he walked out of the door happy.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, I mean, because it's preserving as much hair as you can.
Yeah,
and I mean,
exactly.
That is one of those things. Like, not a lot of people are willing to deal with that.
Yeah, no. I talked to another barber in another state. He's like, nah, I don't deal with dreadlocks. I was like, but
Why?
this guy needed help. He needed his haircut, and he was down on his luck. Like, yeah, of course, I will try my best to take care of whatever you got going on.
Well, especially when it's the back of your head. It's like dealing with somebody with a comedone on a neck.
Oh yeah.
Like, you can't expect them to deal with it. They can't see it.
Can't see it. Yeah.
But I mean, and that is it's one of those like little mercies.
Yeah.
It's like we are fully capable of solving this problem.
Oh, yeah.
And not by just buzzing it off of them.
Yep.
Like, we take a little time, we take a little patience.
Yep. We fixed it.
And especially with somebody who usually rocks long hair, going, look, it's not his fault. Like, he wasn't taken care of properly while he was in the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, can you expect somebody who's been hit by a car in any capacity
To brush any sort of hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was happy, and he had a smile on his face, and I hope he comes back. I really do. He seemed like a nice guy.
Awesome.
The dreadlock incident of week end of October.
Write it down.
Yeah. That's why we take pictures.
Sometimes. I have a bad habit of not doing that. But at the same time, like, every once in a while we'll get those unique individuals that require some more privacy and patience.
Yeah.
That is another nice thing I like about my room, and probably a fortunate thing having a one-chair shop and
Definitely.
being appointments right now is that privacy is not just like for having conversations, but it's also like, you know what, somebody might not be comfortable. Like, they might have to go through a change that they're not necessarily prepared for, but needs to happen.
I've gotten more comedones during this year than any time of those in 8 years of barbering, because it's just me and the other guy in the shop. There's not 3 other dudes kind of judging or thinking about it, or like, it's kind of tough to be like, hey dude, quiet, like, you've got a really big comedone in the back of your head, I'm gonna get it, when there's 3 dudes in the shop. It's kind of embarrassing for some guys.
Oh, I straight up go,
oh no, but now it's just me in the shop and the other client. I'm like, hey dude, you got a comedone, I'm getting it for you, and they feel a little more comfortable.
I don't even tell them it's a comedone anymore. I just tell them, hey, I'm going to take care of something on the back of your neck real quick. And it'll either feel like a pinch or it'll feel like I'm stabbing you in the brain.
Yeah.
You cool with that? All right, cool.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorite parts of the job is getting rid of comedones.
I had a guy who had, you know how you get mechanics and stuff?
Yes.
Who, like, you can just tell some part of their profession, or maybe it's just their complexion, where, like, they get quite a few comedones around the neck. Mm-hmm. They don't know. They can't see. Like, how are they supposed to take care of that? I had one that was like that today. I was like, and it only his second time in the shop ever. I was like, all right, look, I'm going to take care of something on your neck. I'll either stab you in the brain or it'll pinch a little bit. He's like, okay. And then I go after it, and he's like, so do you guys find that, like, gross? Because he figured out what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, No, I just consider it to be a service that, we offer because, you're at a disadvantage. You don't know this is going on.
Our territory is from the collar up,
Well, and, it's our responsibility for their hair and their skin. So it's like, look, if you got a comedone and heaven forbid it gets infected under there, or, even just having a hair stuck under there, you're like stretching the opening of your follicle.
Oh, yeah.
That is so not good. My clipper blade could get stuck in that eventually.
Oh, God, yep. I had a guy last week, mechanic. He had this very large comedone, it was very raised, and I was working on it, and I finally got the top layer of comedone out, and there was still stuff in there, so I stuck my tweezers in there, and there was a whole bunch of ingrown hairs underneath the comedone. And I'm just like grinning from ear to ear because it's just so satisfying.
Andrew finds it satisfying. I would not use that word, but that's okay. I actually never used a comedone extractor on anybody during barber school.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Ever. Mostly because of my... I did not like how enthusiastic our instructor was.
Yeah, definitely. Some of that enthusiasm is passed on to me, definitely.
But I also remember Tyler being the subject of a lot of extractions.
Yep.
And I was
no
like,
mercy.
If I'm not willing to put myself in that position to endure that, then I'm not going to put anybody else through that. But eventually when you do a bunch of skin fades and flat tops all day, it's just like, technically I did this to you because of the abrasiveness of this service.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. I'll consider it to be like a service to you because either I caused it or because you can't see it.
Yep. One of Mr. C's favorite expressions after removing a comedone was, that didn't hurt me one bit. And I've used that a few times. We're getting out a big one. It's like, oh, that didn't hurt me at all. And they always chuckle. And I think I'm just the weirdest barber ever.
And see, I can't get away with that because that's just not my personality.
Yeah.
I just have to be brutally honest and go, look, either it's going to hurt a lot because I have no mercy because this just needs to get done, or it'll just pinch a little bit. And I don't know which one because I've had Marines that cried in the chair and I've had like kids that were like, I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
You never know. It's a lottery.
Yep, that's true. Every day.
Well, all right, Andrew. It was so nice having you here.
It's great being here.
I really hope that we don't go a couple years again.
No.
Like we did.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're going to keep an eye on you on social media because it may not be barbering related at all times, but I still keep track.
It's like never barber related. So.
That was the thing that was outside the barbershop that happened.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
It counts.
I'm not getting into that. No, I'm not getting revved up again.
All right. Well, we hope that you continue to listen, and we're going to keep an eye on you. Thanks for coming and talking to me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bree. It was great being here.